Hi everyone. I guess I'm a bit nervous about talking about. I have OCD like Raja, we're OCD buddies. But I guess the reason that we both wanted to talk is because we've had different experiences of obsessive compulsive disorder. And okay, so first I guess I'll introduce myself. My name's Loulwa, my friends call me Lou. I'm a psychology senior at AUB and I'm doing a creative writing minor. And I'm really excited to be actually up here talking. I'm nervous, but I'm excited because today I was actually talking to one of my good friends and she also has OCD. That was you, one of my good friends who also has OCD, but and I asked her if she wanted to talk with us, and she said that, she just didn't feel ready to talk about it yet. And so I kind of like to think that I'm up here also talking for her and for people who aren't maybe ready to talk about their experiences with psychological disorders yet. And something came up, when Dr. Kana was asking what people, what came to mind when you thought about psychological disorders, and someone actually mentioned that one of the more severe ones were bipolar or schizophrenia, and those are definitely very debilitating disorders, but what a lot of people might not realize is that OCD is actually very, very debilitating, and it's not just like what popular media depicts, which is hand washing and obsession with germs, and it can actually affect every aspect of your life very negatively. And just hang on, because when I get nervous I forget what I'm going to say. Okay. So I'm 20 years old, and I remember having OCD since I was 9 years old. But my mom was actually explaining to me a while ago how she can remember I was having obsession tendencies since I was about 4. So I remember I had this fear of the dentist, like this irrational fear of the dentist, and I would have to brush every single tooth twice. And if I didn't, then I would go into this state of panic and I would start crying. And most parents, I guess, would be happy if their kids were so psyched to brush their teeth, but I was just, it was a ritual before bed. And I have a twin sister who's actually taking pictures over there right now. And what would happen is that because it sounds corny, because I loved her so much, I didn't want her to maybe get a cavity when she went to the dentist, because this was like a huge deal in my mind. So I would have to make her brush every single tooth 2 times as well, and if she didn't, then I would start crying as well. So you realize that it goes from something that might be kind of cute or might be just seen as something that's not that severe to something that actually takes up a lot of time and it causes a lot of distress. And so what would happen to me is that I did have this contamination obsession when I was in elementary school, and I would wash my hands so much that they became really red and dry and they'd actually start bleeding because I had been washing them so much. And you also have to realize that there are a lot of different types of OCD, and you don't have to stick with one for your whole life. So when I got over this obsession with contamination, I was obsessed with symmetry, so everything would have to be straight and everything would have to be perfect. And a lot of things that people might not tell you, which I guess is very personal, but I'm going to share it anyway, is that the reason people with OCD do things so many times is, in my case, you think that if you don't do it a certain number of times, that something really horrible is going to happen. And you have to remember that OCD is an irrational disorder. So logically, you step back and you think, of course, your mom's not going to die in a car accident if you don't go through the doorway 3 times. Like, that makes no sense, and you realize it makes no sense, but you're trapped in the cycle of believing it still might happen. So what would happen is that I would just have to repeat things over and over, and it would actually creep into things that like eating and like sleeping and reading. And I loved writing, and I couldn't even write anymore because what would happen is that when I reached in to eat something, I reached in to maybe wear a sweater, and I thought something that was like a bad thought. I call them bad thoughts because usually they're just very violent or something like that. And suddenly the clothes or the food would be contaminated almost, so I can't eat that, I can't wear it anymore. And so I lost weight, I couldn't wear what I wanted to wear, I couldn't write, I couldn't read, and the only thing I could do was sleep. So I would just sleep for so long. And what's actually kind of comical looking back is that in my dreams I would have OCD, so I would actually be doing compulsions in my dreams. That's how much it was affecting me. And when I was finally in high school, I just had this breakdown, kind of like what Raja went through, and I saw a psychologist. And it helped me so much. And I also saw a psychiatrist and I started taking medication. And the reason I'm saying this is because there's a stigma against psychological disorders, but there's also a stigma against medication. So, we'll let you have a disorder, but you don't need medication. I think people need to realize that there's nothing wrong with taking medication. You don't have to be on it forever. I went up on, I was on a certain dosage, and recently I've been on the lowest dosage in my life, because I'm trying to, eventually not need it anymore, and I won't need it anymore eventually, but right now I still need it as well as therapy. So I think people just need to keep that in mind, that if someone was taking medicine for a physical, maybe a physical problem, there's no judgment there, but if it's a psychological problem, suddenly you're that much crazier because you take medication, and that's very false and very wrong. And the last two things I'm going to say is that it sounds really corny, I guess, but something that helped me so much is that my friends and my family were really supportive. And you don't need to understand a disorder to be supportive. They would actually sit down with me and they would ask me to explain it to them in a way they could understand, so that they knew how to deal with it better. And that helps so much, because when you're getting just all this negative attitudes from people around you saying, what's wrong with you, this is illogical, why don't you get over it, it hurts so much more, and it's not going to make anything better. So the fact that they were very supportive and open-minded helped me so much. Like my mom's back there, she's in the green, she was like, really good about it. And what my twin sister used to do is that she read somewhere that there's this problem that, you label people with their disorder, so you become that OCD girl or that schizophrenic, and she didn't want that to happen to me, so she decided to name my OCD, so that my OCD would be something completely separate from me, so she called me Steve. So, for example, even now, because I've gotten so much better, but I still sometimes, when I'm really nervous, I'll tap something twice, I'm engaging in a compulsion, and she'll just look at me and she'll be like, is it Steve? And I'll just nod, and she just gets it, she knows what to do now and what not to do, and it just helps a lot. And just for anyone out there who might be dealing with OCD and who doesn't know who doesn't know how to deal with it, or who thinks that the people around them might react negatively, I really want you to know that it does get better. You might need to see a psychologist just to help you take that step, but it's definitely going to get better. And I didn't think I'd be here when I was in high school having this really awful time battling my OCD, but I am now, and it gets a lot better, and I'm really thankful for that. I don't know how to finish this, so I'm just gonna